This Delta Math topic is interpret linear equations in context. So it's multiple choice, which helps, but you still have to think through these situations. So just so that you're aware, these linear equations, they're just storytellers. They just tell you what's happening, okay? Y equals mx plus b is a really weird way for you to feel like you would understand what's happening. But here's the deal. The B is just a number that's like a flat number. It doesn't change. It's always going to be the same. And usually it's your starting point in the story problem. So it's like maybe I start earning money per something, per week, per month, per year, or I start saving up cookies and hiding them in my dresser. And I have a starting amount and then I add more cookies each time. Or I spend money. Maybe I start with a certain amount of money and then I spend every week I spend 10 bucks, right? Your starting amount, the thing that doesn't really change at first is your B, okay? It's like a flat number, it's constant. And then the thing that changes like per week, per year, per month, per whatever is your slope compared to your X. And then the result of that, how many cookies after all that time goes by, or how much money in the bank after all that time goes by is your Y, your result, okay? So I know that's a little bit, even just then it's kind of funky to understand. So here's with the story problem, okay? Brooklyn is preheating her oven before using it to bake. Like this in the paper, okay. Brooklyn wants to predict the final temperature after X minutes. So every time you hear per, you're going to be like, that's going to be your slope with your X, okay? How many minutes, or what's the temperature per minute, change per minute. She wrote the equation, blah, 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 where Y represents the final temperature. So Y is the result, okay? In the degrees Fahrenheit. What could the number 77 in Brooklyn's equation represent? Okay, now they switched the order on us a little bit. They're keeping you on your toes. So basically, her oven starts out pretty much at 77 degrees. Maybe her house is like, a little warmer than 72 degrees, like most of our houses are. And then, but that oven heats up pretty quickly. Every minute that ticks by, it's gonna get hotter by 50 degrees. Okay, so we start out at 77. That's the flat starting point, and then from there our slope goes. Okay, well, a minute ticks by, I'm gonna jump up 50 degrees. Another minute ticks by, another 50 degrees. So in just 2 minutes, for example, you've gone up 100 degrees. Hopefully there's a stopping point, because that would be kind of a scary oven, but you get the gist. Okay, so 77 is the starting point of her temperatures oven, the degrees. So it says the oven temperature after 0 minutes, the change in minutes for every change of 1 degree, the change in degrees Fahrenheit for every change of 1 minute. Oh, lots of words. The time when the oven's temperature is 0 degrees, okay? So 77 right here is the temperature that the oven starts at, okay? Or the oven's temperature after 0 degrees or 0 minutes, right? So when you see 0 on your time, that's like the start. That's another way of saying the start. And that's a good way to think about that one. Okay, so just remember there's that constant. It's not tied with your X, not tied with the per, and that's going to be like your starting point. Then this next question, it says Claire's math teacher, sounds like a really cool person. Claire's math teacher finds that there's roughly a linear relationship, so a predictable pattern, okay, between the amount of time students spend on their homework and their weekly quiz scores. What? I don't believe that. More studying, better grades. No. Anyway, this relationship can be represented by the equation y equals 56 plus 7.1x. Again, they kind of switch the order on us. The constant, the starting point, everybody score 56 points, okay, 56%, let's say. And then for every hour that they spend on homework or studying or whatever, their score is going to go up 7.1. A little bit higher, a little higher. The more I study, the better I do. The more I study, the better I do. The more I study, the better I do. And that gives me my nice boring slope, and it's a predictable relationship. I wish life were that simple. It's not, but in this story problem it is. So it says, what is the meaning of the X value when Y equals 92? Oh, okay. So now they're saying Y, her result, the score on my quiz is 92. That's a result of starting off with everybody kind of expecting to get at least a 50%, 56% plus 7.1% for every hour they studied. They're not asking how many hours they studied in order to get Y to be 92, because you could just plug in 92 and solve that equation. They're just saying, what does it represent? And it represents that final score. So the number, I'm going to just jump right to it here. A student's expected quiz score if they spent 92 hours on their homework. No, that is not right. It's not 92 hours on their homework. Student, you have to, ooh, you gotta read these carefully. Okay, number of hours a student should spend on homework to expect. Okay, there we go. The number of hours a student should spend on their homework to expect a score of 92 on the quiz. Okay, so X will be how long we had to study, how long we had to do our homework to get a score of 92. Remember, Y is always like the total or the result, or after all this stuff happened, this is your result, okay, your Y. And that's literally, you've got that on your Y axis. This is the stuff you're keeping track of. Okay, where are we at when time ticks by or something is changing on our X axis? What's our result on our Y axis? That's why we have those two number lines overlapping. And you know what? One of these days you're going to get a Z axis. Aren't you so excited? But that's high school. Ha! Not me, not 8th grade. All right, good luck on those. Just read those questions carefully because I even almost messed up and picked the wrong one. Watch that wording.